They say blood is thicker than water, but for 78-year-old Eleanor Whitmore, blood meant betrayal. After dedicating her entire life to her children, she discovered the cruel truth. Her family loved money more than they loved her. What she did next shocked her elite suburban community and made headlines across the state. She gave her heart, her home, and her inheritance to the Maid. But was Eleanor justified? Or had she gone too far? Hit that like button, subscribe for more shocking real-life stories, and let us know in the comments, who do you think was right? Eleanor Whitmore had lived in the Grand White Colonial on Oak Ridge Drive for over 45 years. The massive stone columns out front and well-tended rose bushes were symbols of a life built on dignity, devotion, and sacrifice. She wasn't just the matriarch of her own family, she was the neighborhood's unofficial Grand Dame. The local pastor visited her for advice. Neighborhood kids called her Grandma Ellie, and every Halloween, hers was the most visited house for homemade caramel apples. Her late husband, Gerald, had built their life brick by brick, from a used car dealership in his early 20s to a nationwide auto business empire by the time he passed. And Eleanor had been his rock, raising 3 children, hosting community fundraisers, and managing the family estate. Rachel, the oldest, had always been the high achiever. Ivy League graduate, corporate law partner, impeccable wardrobe. But behind her tight-lipped smiles was a thirst for status. Thomas, the middle child, was the entrepreneur. He bounced from one visionary startup to the next. To Eleanor, he was charming. To Banks, he was a risk. Benjamin, the youngest, had floated through life, a trust fund kid with little ambition and a talent for charm. His relationship with Eleanor had always been the closest, until money became involved. Eleanor never denied them anything. Private schools, designer clothes, help with their mortgages. But slowly, what once was love morphed into entitlement. Maria de la Cruz came into Eleanor's life during a difficult time. Gerald was battling cancer, and Eleanor needed help around the house. What began as part-time housekeeping became full-time companionship. Maria had fled a troubled life in Mexico, working tirelessly to give her children a better future. Her eldest daughter was in nursing school, and her youngest loved to draw. She never asked for anything more than her weekly paycheck. Yet, she brought Eleanor tea without being asked, folded her laundry with lavender sachets, and remembered her wedding anniversary each year. When Eleanor cried alone after Gerald's funeral, it was Maria who sat beside her, wordless, holding her hand. After Gerald's passing, Eleanor's children started circling. "You should really think about downsizing, Mom," Rachel said over brunch. "That house is way too big for you," Thomas echoed. "You could move into Green Pines Assisted Living and sell the house," Benjamin added. "Imagine how relaxing it would be. No upkeep." Eleanor was suspicious, but she never imagined the extent of their scheming. That changed on Thanksgiving. While fetching a bottle of wine from the cellar, she overheard her children in the kitchen. "She has at most a few years. We need to act before she starts forgetting things," Rachel whispered. "Once she signs power of attorney, it's game over." Eleanor stood frozen, heart thudding. The children she had birthed, bathed, and bankrolled were plotting to erase her from her own life. The next morning, Eleanor didn't cry. She brewed her tea, fed the birds, and waited for Maria to arrive. She greeted her with a long, tight hug. "Maria," she said, eyes brimming with resolve, "how would you feel if I asked you to become my daughter? Legally?" Maria blinked. "What? Are you joking?" "I'm dead serious. You're the only one who's never asked me for anything, and yet given me everything." Maria thought she was dreaming. "But what about your children?" "They chose money. I choose love." Eleanor met with her longtime attorney, Harold King. When she explained her plan to adopt Maria as her daughter, rewrite the will, and transfer power of attorney, Harold looked stunned. "This is unprecedented, Eleanor." "So was what my children said." Harold arranged the documents. Within weeks, Maria de la Cruz was legally recognized as Eleanor's adopted daughter. The will was updated. All assets, stocks, bonds, trust funds, real estate, transferred to Maria upon Eleanor's passing. Eleanor also made Maria her healthcare proxy and granted her full legal authority. Christmas arrived, and so did the Whitmore children. "No need to cook, Mom," Rachel said. "We brought takeout." "Oh? I made a roast, but thanks." They laughed, sipping wine, exchanging expensive gifts, unaware that Eleanor was about to drop a bomb. She handed each of them an envelope. Inside were legal documents, the revised will, proof of Maria's legal adoption, and Eleanor's resignation from any trusts they once controlled. "What the hell is this?" Rachel screeched. "You adopted the maid." Thomas shouted. Benjamin stood there, pale. Eleanor stood, calm, dignified. "Maria is now my daughter. You are strangers." Within a week, Eleanor was served. Her children accused her of being mentally unfit and manipulated by a foreign domestic worker. Court proceedings began. Psychiatric evaluations, witness testimonies, endless paperwork. Neighbors rallied behind Eleanor. The pastor testified on her behalf. So did her doctor. Maria refused to speak unless asked. Her silence spoke volumes. The judge ruled Eleanor was mentally sound. The adoption was legal. The will stood. Rachel stormed out. Thomas cursed the judge. Benjamin cried, but not for his mother, only for his lost inheritance. Maria and Eleanor grew closer. Maria's children visited every Sunday. They brought tamales, danced in the living room, and painted Eleanor's nails. Eleanor finally felt like a mother again, not to users, but to lovers. She taught Maria's granddaughter how to knit. She read bedtime stories. She became Abuela Ellie. And the mansion, once cold and silent, now rang with laughter. Years later, as Eleanor sat in her sunroom, an envelope arrived. It was from Rachel. "Mother, I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I miss you. If there is ever a chance to speak again, I would take it. Even if you never respond. Rachel." Eleanor wept. Not for what she lost, but for what she had gained. She didn't respond, but she placed the letter in a memory box, next to her wedding ring and Maria's adoption papers. When Eleanor passed peacefully at 84, the obituary made the local paper. Eleanor Whitmore, beloved mother, grandmother, philanthropist, and community leader, passed away surrounded by love. Survived by her daughter Maria and 3 grandchildren. No mention of Rachel, Thomas, or Benjamin. But Maria and her children carried Eleanor's legacy forward. The mansion became a community center. Her library was donated. Her garden became a sanctuary. Months after Eleanor's victory in court, a letter arrived from Thomas. Then one from Benjamin. Rachel sent a voicemail, her voice trembling with desperation. Maria read each one aloud to Eleanor. "Thomas, I was wrong. I let greed blind me. I miss Dad. I miss you. Benjamin, I'm broke, and it's all my fault. I don't want money. I want a hug. Rachel, you hurt me, but I hurt you first. I want to come home." Eleanor was torn. Maria simply said, "Follow your heart, not your wounds." Eleanor agreed to meet them, on her terms. No lawyers. No accusations. Just a Sunday dinner. They arrived tense and quiet, unsure if they'd be let in. Maria opened the door with a warm smile. The dining table was set, just like old times. Roast beef. Mashed potatoes. Fresh bread. Rachel cried at the sight. Thomas pulled out Eleanor's chair. Benjamin brought flowers. They ate in silence. Then Eleanor spoke. "You broke my heart. But I won't let bitterness be my legacy. You are welcome, as guests. Maria is my daughter. And this home is hers." The message was clear. Love was still on the table. Entitlement was not. Born in a small village outside Oaxaca, Maria was the youngest of 7. Her mother died when she was 6, and by age 10, she was working odd jobs to support her family. At 18, she crossed the border, terrified, undocumented, but determined. She worked factory jobs, cleaned hotels, and eventually landed a job with the Whitmores. Gerald respected her work ethic. Eleanor loved her spirit. Over time, she became more than an employee. She became family, but she never forgot her roots. Every month, she sent money back home. Every night, she prayed for the mother she barely remembered. Word of Eleanor's story spread. A local news channel asked for an interview. Reluctantly, Eleanor agreed. The reporter asked, "Do you regret giving everything to someone who isn't your blood?" Eleanor smiled. "Love isn't in the blood. It's in the acts." Maria stayed. "My kids fled. That's all the proof I need." The interview went viral. Comments poured in. "Eleanor is a hero. This made me cry. I want to be like her at 78. Others weren't so kind. How dare she betray her kids?" Gold digger alert. But Eleanor didn't care. She'd said her truth. Over time, Rachel began visiting more. Not to plead or manipulate, but to help. She offered to assist Maria with managing the estate's paperwork. Maria hesitated, but Eleanor encouraged it. "Let her earn your trust." Thomas took up gardening with Eleanor. He spent afternoons planting lilies and pulling weeds, silent therapy for both. Benjamin volunteered at a senior center, inspired by Eleanor's strength. He finally found purpose beyond wealth. The family wasn't whole again, but it was healing. On Eleanor's 80th birthday, Maria threw a garden party. The community came. Pastors, neighbors, even Eleanor's old bridge club. There were speeches, cake, music. Rachel took the MIC. 2 years ago, I tried to erase my mother. Today, I want to honor her. Not because she forgave us, but because she taught us what love really looks like. Eleanor cried. Maria hugged her. The family, in its new form, stood together. One evening, Maria sat beside Eleanor, who had grown frail. "When you're gone, I'll take care of this house. I'll teach my children everything you taught me. I will never let them forget you." Eleanor squeezed her hand. "You already are everything I hoped a daughter would be." Eleanor passed peacefully in her sleep, a smile on her lips. Her funeral was packed. Not just by family, but by lives she had touched. Maria spoke. "She gave me a job, then a home, then a name. I will carry it with pride." Rachel cried beside her. Thomas read a poem. Benjamin played Eleanor's favorite song on the piano. Years later, Maria established the Eleanor Whitmore Foundation, a non-profit to support elderly women abandoned by family. The mansion became a halfway home, the garden a place of healing. Maria's children grew up to be doctors, artists, and teachers, all inspired by one woman who chose love over blood. And every Sunday, the family, new and old, still gathered around Eleanor's table. Not because they had to, but because they finally understood what family really meant. Sometimes, family betrays us. Sometimes, strangers save us. Eleanor Whitmore didn't just rewrite her will. She rewrote her story. Would you have done the same? Tell us in the comments. Like, share, and subscribe for more true stories that prove the heart remembers what the blood forgets.